And good morning. This is Marshall Pitts.
Module Pitts.
And Myron Pitts is in the parking lot and on his way. And we are
MP3.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the trio of Talk Radio with Marshall, Module, and Myron. We're always glad.
That trio of Talk Radio sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah. I know you because you came up with it. Yeah,
I came up with that. Why is your brother sitting in the parking lot? What's
going
on in the parking lot?
He's doing some business stuff with his job.
He's on the phone, though. Can you do business stuff on your phone?
I was just in the parking lot doing some business on the phone. Had to take care of some things.
We're, just like the story.
I mean, you're retired.
Just like the story we getting ready to talk about.
Retired.
But I wasn't attached to my phone, even when I was working every day. Even this story we getting ready to talk about cell phones, they probably need to reply to you and Myron, too.
No, I'm not a cell phone guy that much. But it's a necessity.
Anytime you have a cell phone that's as large as a piece of toast, that means you're a cell phone guy. So that's a big phone.
This phone is not that big.
That's a large phone. Versus, guys who doesn't do much business on the phone got a little teeny tiny phone.
Some of that's for the visual and the script. As you get older, you need a little,
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
You got to increase the font size or whatever.
Right. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We always welcome any participation in our dialogue. You're always welcome to call in. The numbers to call in, 910-483-6111, 910-483-6111. Always welcome that. And so today first of all, I forgot to ask you how your week went. How'd your week go?
Oh, it was all right. My week's always the same, but,
I have a shirt like that. But
you got a shirt like this?
It's long sleeve. I'd never seen the big fella in orange before.
And you won't see me too often in it either. What's going on, young fella?
Have you ever seen your brother in orange before?
He's straggling in.
Yeah, I see him in orange before.
Yeah, I've got some orange stuff. I've got some orange,
You
like
got
my
a
old
little
middle
pink
school.
somewhere, pink tie.
Little pink. I don't wear them often.
Yeah.
I don't wear them often.
That's right. It's right. West Virginia was
Don't
orange
sleep
and
on your
black.
brother's style.
Yeah, I got a little bit of style.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
A lot, actually.
Right. So, and how was your week, Myron?
Good. Just got me J. Cole tickets. So
You got us some too?
No. They're not what I would call cheap.
That's in September? Is it September?
September 23rd.
When you say you got us some J. Cole, who you get some for?
No. I just got some J. Cole tickets.
some usually more
Me
than
and
one.
Sarah.
Does Sarah like J. Cole?
She said she gonna learn up on his music. She knows a little bit, but she.
So now let me get this straight. Now
Yeah.
you have your two brothers here who are rap aficionados.
Yeah.
We grew up in the same household.
Right.
Sarah don't even like.
Right.
She don't even like rap music.
Right.
Better half comes first. That's right. Better half comes first. But no, Fayetteville. I guess I'll let folks know. Fayetteville Market has an exclusive for the next up until 1:00. So you have to get the tickets. You got to have a Fayetteville zip code.
Okay.
I'm sorry, area zip code.
Zip code. Oh, wow,
right.
that's pretty
so
good.
there's a pre-sale. Cole looking out for his folks.
I wouldn't be able to get in. I'm a Hope Mills person.
The area. Hope Mills.
Okay. In this area, right.
Hope Mills, so.
Well, that's pretty.
That's pretty cool.
That's looking out for your hometown.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
That's
and this will be his last stop on his U.S. tour before the U.S. leg of his tour before he goes abroad. I think he's going to Johannesburg, South Africa after this. All through Europe, whole deal, international.
So you got your tickets and
we out in
the cold. As
you have time after the show.
What kind of tomfoolery is this?
They're fairly expensive.
They're decent. There are shows that cost a lot more. I'll put it that way.
Right.
And the shows that cost a lot less too, probably.
Not many these days, but yeah, there are some shows that cost less. I mean, but you're talking at that point, the oldies tour and the classics. And
so they're reasonable.
Yeah, they're reasonable.
Okay,
I think they're reasonable.
They're not like Beyonce.
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't be. I'd be hearing about it. I mean, I hope to get a press pass, so I can cover it too. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay, so if you got the press pass, then you can just let one of those tickets go.
Well, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see.
That
Y'all
don't
listen to
See how
Cole?
he said that?
That don't sound. I've got all the Cole albums except for the last one. For the one that just dropped.
You should get that.
Every day I listen to Cole.
Right. But that's his.
He's trying to come up with an excuse.
The Fall Off is his best record, though. I mean, for the longest time, I really like Friday Night Lights the best.
That's a great album.
And then a lot of his fans really like 2014 Forest Hills Drive. But this one, this is a masterpiece. This is a double record, and he's got one this called 29 versus A side, B sides, 29 and 39, and I'm pretty sure those are the ages he was when he wrote most of the material for each, and you can tell the difference too.
Right.
So
Okay. Well,
Cole's
we'll,
40.
We'll see what you do.
Yeah, time flies.
yeah, sure does. Yeah, Cole
All right.
was 40.
So let's get the lineup for today, Myron, if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
well, we kind of some of it was
Well, actually,
a
we
little
already kinda
up
decided
in the
on
air.
that,
Yeah. Okay, so
we
y'all
are, yeah.
making
Yeah.
executive decisions.
Yeah,
about-
you wanna
Okay, well, you two hours
we're going
right
to talk
out there in
about
the
a
parking lot.
12-year-old that
Kid stuff.
yeah, that
12-year-olds and
decided
cell phones
that
in
he
schools.
missed the bus
Yeah.
to school, and he decided, well, I'll get there. I'll just drive.
Drive
and
himself,
so
yeah.
he drove himself to school and was stopped, of course.
And she got the hit Marsha telling us the whole story
No,
already.
no,
we just
no.
set it up. Just set it up.
That's
Yes.
the layout. That's
That's
the
not the
layout.
layout.
Well,
That's
that's
the whole
just
story.
about the whole story. it's
12-year-old drive to
just
school,
the news.
cell phones in school. That's the
Right.
second
Monroe
story. Kid
happened
stuff.
near
Right.
near
Yeah.
Charlotte.
Yeah. We're going to talk about kid
Right.
stuff first, and
Right.
then we're going to go into some African-American stuff.
Yeah, cell phone. You go talk about cell
Well,
phone
yeah,
policy.
well,
the
cell
second
phone.
story about the kids is that the almost nationwide ban 30 states.
About 30 states, yeah.
have banned cell phones in school now. We got to talk about the impact of that, and then next we need to talk about the removal of a lot of the African American history from museums that the Trump administration is going
Yeah,
about
they just
there.
got forced by a court order to put
Right.
some back up
And then
there
in
in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia,
Tried
right.
to erase the slavery history
Right,
of
right.
the first president.
Right, and then we had the I'm missing one. What was it you just talked about? Myron?
Oh, about the interracial marriages, right? I'm trying to talk about that.
Miss Perry, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
two African American stories. Yeah, how
Yeah.
I would have set that up
Sure.
was two kid stories, 12-year-old cell phones, two African American stories, mixed marriage, and taking down an African American, and then maybe another story down the
We're
road.
not gonna have time for all
No,
that.
Maybe another story down the road.
No,
Now
no.
I'm doing your part now. I'm
Okay,
throwing
right.
stories
We
in.
always throw
But I
stories
thought
in.
that-
and-
Forever the optimist.
But
Well.
we do have to, and I think we would be remiss if we did not talk about voting, Myron.
Yeah.
If we
Right.
could
My
talk a
goodness,
little bit
yeah.
about that,
Yeah.
and some of the letters people are getting, and
Yeah.
I don't want our listeners to be confused if they
Sure,
get, because
sure.
it seems like those letters are targeted.
Yeah, so I wrote a story about this. It's at FayObserver.com. But if you got one of these letters that said that there's a discrepancy in your some of your voting information, your Social Security number, and your other your date of birth and things like that. Those went out to 241,000 people, including our dad got one. Marshall, your lady got one. So I looked into it. I talked to someone at the Board of Elections. You will not be prevented from voting because of this letter, but they do recommend. Go ahead and vote early, or go in during the early voting period. You don't have to vote then, but it would just make sense to vote if you're at the Board of Elections, which is on Maiden Lane. I'm sorry, Fountainhead Lane.
Right.
Drive. Go there and get it squared away. And all it is at the time that, for instance, our dad registered to vote, they didn't ask for as many pieces of information as they do now. So this letter is actually snaring a lot of senior citizens in it. And naturally, a lot of them are concerned. This means, hey, if I don't get this squared away, I can't vote. I'm told that it does not affect your vote. But just as in the abundance of caution, it's best to go during early voting, which is through February 20. I got to look up the early voting date. I don't want to pick out the final date, but early voting is going on now. And there are Monday through Saturday hours for that. Check the Cumberland County Board of Elections. Go there and get it squared away. And the reason I say that, because if you wait till voting day, they can't handle registration issues then. You would have to vote you would have to vote provisionally, meaning we'll take your vote, they'll take your vote, but then you have to come in after the election and then square that situation away. So I would go ahead and go through early voting. I think Marshall is looking up those hours.
Who are these letters from, Myron?
They are from, great question. Now it's going to say the Cumberland County Board of Elections, okay, on top of the letter, but they actually come from the North Carolina State Board of Elections.
Right.
And they, like I said, they've gone out to 241,000 people across the state. So a lot of people have gotten these letters, are concerned. I saw a news story just the other day. There's long lines in Wake County of people trying to get this squared away. So I always say, in the abundance of caution, just go in and get it squared away.
Well, early voting does end on Saturday, February 28th.
Right.
Make sure everybody realizes
So
that.
not this Saturday, but next Saturday.
Right.
Yeah.
Saturday, February 28th.
So you got a little time. Don't dawdle. Go ahead and get it squared away, because as John Lewis said, voting is almost sacred, and you don't want to risk that right even a little bit.
Yeah, the issue becomes you don't want to put. Some people are some people really want to put obstacles in the way of people voting.
That's right.
And this would be an obstacle in the way. So what reason why we're talking about this, because we don't want you to say yourselves, well, I got this letter, I don't feel like going through all this.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to be bothered with voting.
Which is the desired intent.
Which is
Yeah.
what the desired
intended
intent.
purpose.
It came from the State Board of Elections, Myron,
Right, which is now become a much more partisan board.
Correct.
It
This is a
didn't
partisan
used to
board.
be, but after the Republican takeover, they've changed a few things. It's become much more partisan.
And unfortunately, when you put obstacles in people's way, even if it's not a huge, it doesn't even have to be a huge
No, it
obstacle,
doesn't. No.
right? Something, because people will say, well, yeah, I don't really feel like dealing with that. Who I have to call somebody or check into it or go to the. I just don't feel like I'm busy. I'm working. I don't have time to do all that right now. And so for those folks, it will serve to get rid of that potential vote that would have been there.
And that's what we wanted. That's what we want to avoid against. But and then we talk about obstacles, Marcia Meyer. We talk about obstacles, but an obstacle for who? Whereas it might not be hard for the three of us to navigate something like that. But like you said, our dad got that, and he's older, up in age now.
Yeah, he's in his 80s,
people don't want to deal with that stuff.
Right.
And some people just physically can. There's a way to. They say. You can go on the internet and get it taken care of, or you can go mail in, but I've heard cases where it wasn't so easy on the internet. So that's why I recommend, if you can, go ahead and go to the Board of Elections on Fountainhead Lane.
Which again makes it a huge impediment for seniors. The two things you talked about, going online or going in person,
they're not doing that.
That's detrimentally impacts them at greater numbers than it does everybody else. So.
Yeah. So.
All right, so pay attention to that, folks. Don't get caught sleeping on that.
Please don't.
Use your due diligence and still do what you can because your vote really does count.
Let's talk about this kid who, because voting is important, but also going to school is important. And here goes a kid, 12-year-old, who believes in the value of going to school, so he drove himself.
You think that's why
regardless of the obstacles?
Why else would he go?
He said he missed the bus. Yeah. That's why he did it. He missed the bus.
If my son, who was recently 12 and is now 13, has turned 13, I think if he missed the bus, that just means, and no one else is there to take him, that means no school. That's how he would interpret that.
That's why I would have interpreted it too. No bus, no school.
But
Mom and Dad didn't take me. They're not here. I'm gonna click on the TV.
So this happened in Union County, which is Monroe, which is near Charlotte. And there's not a lot of details, but Monroe police officers, a police officer pulled over an SUV around 8:30 a.m. on February 18th.
That detail. He was riding a big vehicle, SUV.
Oh yeah.
I thought
he was doing it.
His mom's Honda Civic or something.
Once the car was stopped, the officer learned that the driver was a 12-year-old. The boy allegedly told the officer that he missed the bus and opted to drive to school himself. Now, we don't have a lot of details beyond that. Police did not say what school the boy went to, which is appropriate.
Right.
Or
the school
who his negligent parents were.
They didn't put any information out there so far. The school resource officer was called, and came and picked him up. Nobody was hurt, but police said the traffic stop came after, quote, suspicious behavior was shown. Now, here's the part that's a lot concerning. The SUV also allegedly had a fake tag.
That's what I meant by negligent parent.
Yeah.
And so you have a parent who, one, and I'm assuming this kid lives at home with his parents, or
one
of
guardian,
his parents.
right.
Someone who owns an SUV.
Right.
Someone who owns an SUV. The tags are bad on the car. They did not notice that their
Not
son,
merely bad, but fake.
Yeah, fake tags.
That's a whole different level.
Yeah.
That's different from expired tags.
That is different.
Right.
Yeah. So
You switching tags.
There's something going on there.
Yeah.
Something going on. Somebody is fake. Switch some tags. I don't know if they switched their tags. Whatever. It's fake tags on the vehicle.
Right.
Don't know all the details behind that. But you don't. Now, if the parent is not home, I guess maybe the parent's at work.
Who knows? Right.
Because, like, again, there's not a lot of details to the story, so you don't know that your kid has driven to school. But me and Marshall were talking to me, or was it me and Myron? We were talking about the discretionary.
Discretion.
Discretion that they use.
That law enforcement officials have.
There are a lot of law enforcement officials that would have charged him with a crime.
That 12-year-old?
Ooh. You're not familiar with the juvenile justice? Yes.
No.
Yes, they would have charged him with a crime. And we have judges that probably would have looked at prosecuting him for that, because that's a 4,000 or 5,000 pound weapon. You can hurt somebody on the road when you're out there driving and those type things. And so he would probably, now, would he have been locked up?
How old are these judges? Age range? 50s, 60s?
40s, 50s, 60s.
And everybody, the cop, same, 20s, 30s, 40s. The kid is 12. He doesn't understand all those implications.
We've
criminal, we've gotten better on the criminal side, because North Carolina still used to have 16 as being our criminal responsibility. They finally raised it to 18. I think we in New York.
It was us in New York, one of the last two states to do that.
But on the civil side, it's a little bit better. On the civil side, in fact, I got a case now where that was 12-year-old when this whole thing happened. On the civil side, 12-year-olds are presumed to not have the capacity to do whatever, contribute to their own injuries and have the mental wherewithal to do that. But it's rebuttable. Where you can say, well, based on all this evidence, we can't hold this 12-year-old responsible for his behavior.
Yeah, but we do realize now. You both have, your son was 12 and your son was recently 12.
Recently 12, right.
Both of them know that they shouldn't be driving a car at 12.
Right.
Okay, so
but
now
they're not necessarily.
We can debate all day whether we think it's a crime or whether they should be charged with the crime, but they do know right from wrong.
They don't know the implications, though. They don't. I mean, now Sam is pretty on top of it, so he actually might be the kid that thinks, yes, this is a 5,000 pound weapon I'm actually driving. I think most kids are not thinking like that.
Agreed, but they do know they shouldn't be driving.
They should know that.
Yeah. Now you backpedaling on that.
They should know that, but I'm not going to speak for kids I don't know now, because not every kid has the same level of instruction in the home.
I'm saying most 12-year-olds would know. I'm thinking that most, and again, you both have had 12. Okay, we got two 12-year-olds right now.
You're right.
Your son is 13. Your son is 17 now, right?
Right.
So they both were 12.
Yeah.
And that's 100% right there. Who knew they would know they weren't supposed to be driving?
But that's two. Those are our two kids.
But it's a difference between knowing something is necessarily wrong that you shouldn't do, versus something being criminal.
Yeah.
I don't think a 12-year-old kid is thinking about criminality at all.
Not at all.
That's what
I can guarantee that kid's not thinking, I know this will get me locked up in jail, but I want to go and I'm driving a 5,000 pound vehicle that could be a weapon. I just don't think those, and that's why you don't prosecute. As you know, handling juveniles, that's why you're not supposed to be prosecuting kids the way you do with adults. As you say all the time, the age of reason is what, 25.
Whether you should prosecute them or not is one thing, because I'm not saying that you should. What I am saying, though, is that when you have a 12-year-old and he's doing something, now the 12-year-olds that I dealt with in the system, and we got this call to pick up, the 12 years I dealt with the system, they did know that was wrong.
Right. They did.
They did. and they knew that they shouldn't be out there driving the car. But I'm going to take this car and going to have. The difference is
he's going to school.
The difference is he was going.
That
to school.
should matter too, in my opinion.
He was going to school.
Yeah.
But y'all are sleeping on some of these 12-year-olds.
Okay. All right, we have a caller. Caller, are you there? Hello?
The whole thing reminds me of a scene.
Did we drop the call?
Call drop.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole thing reminds me of that. We all like The Wire, and there was one of the little hoppers. And I think he may have been in the game. Was he also dealing too?
Yeah.
And so he was about that age and driving around SUV confidently.
He could barely see over the wheel. He was a little fella too.
And he passed a couple of police officers, and one of them, I can't remember the cop, bald head guy. He's like, "What's wrong with this picture?" Hurt. And, Hurt. That's right, Hurt. And talked to him a little bit. Right. But no, I think in this case, fortunately, we can kind of take this as a little bit of a lighthearted story because nobody got hurt. But this could have been a really bad story. And when you factor in not only him having access to a home alone, he can be legally in North Carolina home alone, but you also factor in the fake tag, something else could be going on. Yeah. So I would say again, the parents are probably not out of the woods.
It always.
I know his dad or mom or whoever it was gave him a tongue lashing. Yeah. What you doing? Taking out the vehicle? You know we're riding dirty. But
again, it's discretionary too. Like I said, and a lot of police officers here and in surrounding areas would have charged him with a crime. They would have charged him with some kind of crime, maybe for the sole purpose of maybe getting at the adults and trying to see what's going on.
Yeah. Currently, they referred, and this is the last piece of information they have in our account. The police referred the incident to the Department of Social Services, which is appropriate, and they are, according to their news release, working with the boy's family to ensure his safety and well-being. They did not mention any charges in their news release, but it's still early, right. So we'll see.
We have a caller on the line. Caller, are you there? Caller, are you there?
Hello, you there?
All right. So we have to moving on to this next story, which is also about youth, about cell phones. And any of you within the sound of my voice who have young people in your home or you deal with young people on a regular basis, you know that their cell phones are an extension of their bodies. They love their phones. Yeah. I mean, that's just part and parcel of who they are. Their phones, they own them all the time. And so the school systems across the country, many of them, 30 states actually, 30 out of 50 states has actually enacted laws to prohibit cell phone use in school to some extent. Some schools have said, you deposit your cell phone when you come in and you pick it up when you leave at the end of the day. So from come in to
bell
leave,
to bell
is what they say. No phone use. Other systems have been a little more relaxed in that you can't have your cell phone, use it in class while you're in class, but at lunch or in between classes, you're allowed to be on your phone. So different variations of that. And so
I feel like, I believe, now our kids do not yet have cell phones. One is Sam is in 7th and Helen is in 5th, and they both are very anxious to get them because all of their friends have them, literally all of them.
So speaking of that, when do you plan to open the floodgate on that?
My wife's belief is wait until 8th grade. So Sam is already, and with that in mind, Sam has already said, he wants the phone during the summer between 7th and 8th grade.
Why 8th grade, by the way? So just curious.
I think she read that somewhere, that was best based on data and research.
Miles had one pretty early, didn't he? Like he was about 5 or 6?
No, not early in comparison to his friends.
Not 5 or 6.
Why are you being ridiculous?
The phone was bigger than he was. His little phone.
That's not true. Yes,
he had his early.
Yeah, when did Miles get his?
He got it when he was right around 12, close to 12.
Yeah. I would have been comfortable.
So right around 12 to me, he was 11.
I would have been comfortable giving it to him a little bit earlier, but we came to a parental agreement that let's go ahead and wait. And then they've since done a lot of research, and I think if it were purely research based, I think a lot of parents would probably wait till even almost high school.
Yeah. The thing about it is that, and you guys with kids will know, is that once you give them the phone, that's it, right? There's no control. You're done.
What do you mean?
You can't control what he's doing on the phone, he or she.
Well,
You can try. They're smarter than you on the phone. Let's start with that.
They know the tech a little better.
They know the technical part. So
and they know the workarounds.
They know the workarounds.
As a matter of fact, the story
all
we
this stuff about passcodes and passwords.
Yeah.
They'll break all that.
Parental protection.
Parental protection. They're going to be smarter than the parents are. So once you give it to them, that's it. It's free range then.
And you really, and that's where it comes down to, and that's why I think that makes the case for wait till the kids are a little bit older, because hopefully when they're older, your lessons will be more ingrained in them, what you taught them about, because it is almost free reign. I mean, they're going to be able to do what they want to on the phone. And so it's going to come down to their judgment,
right,
and whether or not they follow self-control, and whether or not they do what you taught them to do.
And we have DL on the line. DL, are you there? DL, are you there? Okay.
You got some phone connection problems here.
Yeah,
so they were looking at, as an example, this story.
Now I have to say that.
Yeah.
I remember.
DL, you there?
Oh, good morning, Joe.
Hey, good morning, DL.
Hey, DL, you got to pay attention when you got on the phone there, bud.
I was.
What's going on, man?
Hey, listen, Nigel, you know there's three branches of government: the executive, the judiciary, and the legislative. Now, in the judiciary, judges don't get to determine what cases are brought.
That's correct.
where the district attorney comes in.
That's correct.
And in Union County, they crazy anyway because they were putting jail stalls in the schools about a month ago, and they had to take them down. But it applies to juveniles. As a law enforcement officer, I can do a petition all day long, Nigel, and you and your boys can say, PD, sheriff's office, this ain't going to court.
Right.
That's correct.
We can try to go to the district attorney, and they more than likely going to rule with you guys. But I can tell you in Cumberland County, Judge Cherry Salamat, when I started in 92, she was in the juvenile court for the longest, and I think that she got elevated to judge, and she was fair. She would tell a detective in a minute, that ain't passing, and she would kick it down. So you do have MYRON. You at one time, you did have some good ADAs that work in the juvenile court system, and they weed out bad stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's why I like the fact that we don't have to worry about judges telling district attorneys who are elected by the people what to prosecute. Thank you a lot.
All right, thanks, DL.
And DL made a great point. So even if a law enforcement officer decided they wanted to charge a kid like this, it would be a misdemeanor, whatever it was. And then the court system, the juvenile justice system can say, you know what, we're not sending that to court. We're gonna do other stuff. We have everything except for the most serious felonies. They can, divert, close, whatever they want to do with that charge, which is because we want to take that ability out of law enforcement and attorneys' hands,
in the court's
and all that
hands.
kind of stuff, in the court's hands. Yeah.
Right.
So that's a
I
good
don't
point.
think FPD makes a big deal out of a situation like this.
I would beg to disagree. I don't know now. I do not know now.
You out the game.
Yeah, but I'm out the game now. But I do know that at some point we have to. They would have made a big deal out of that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have to take a break right now. We'll be right back with MP3.
On Thursday, the top 1st District Congressional Republican primary candidates participated in a debate. The forum included Lori Buckout, Asa Buck, Robert Hannock, and Eric Rouse. Former Prince Andrew is back at the royal residence on Sandringham Estate this morning. Police released him from custody last night after arresting him on suspicion of misconduct while in public office. Drought conditions have worsened across North Carolina amid record low rainfall for many areas across the past 6 months. Firefighters in Washington County, Oklahoma are working to contain a fast-moving wildfire in that area. Violent weather spread across the Midwest on Thursday, including in Illinois and Indiana. There was at least one tornado spotted. Mike Rayleigh, NCN News.
I'm Jamie Monticelli, WIDU Radio News. Cumberland County, in partnership with the city of Fayetteville and community partners, is opening white flag shelters on Sunday and Monday, February 22nd and 23rd, and warming centers on Monday, February 23rd, in response to expected below freezing temperatures. Residents are encouraged to check on neighbors, older adults, and those without reliable heat. Remember to bring pets indoors during freezing weather. The city of Fayetteville has a sidewalk update. A total of 350 linear feet of sidewalk has been installed on Levy Drive. The project consists of about 1,000 linear feet of sidewalk from Trainer Drive to Dixon Street on the north side of Levy Drive. The sidewalk project will improve pedestrian accessibility and increase walkability along Levy Drive within the area of Ashley Elementary School. Don't forget, next week, join Mayor Mitch Colvin and City Council chambers at City Hall for a cup of coffee and great dialogue. This is Monday the 23rd at 10 a.m. From WIDU Radio, I'm Jamie Monticelli.
As a cold front approaches the region, we'll see warmer temperatures approaching records today. We'll also have a chance for some scattered showers and some brief storms, then better rain chances this weekend with cooling temperatures. Mostly cloudy to start the day with temperatures in the upper 50s and low 60s. Then scattered showers and a few brief storms are possible through this afternoon. Highs reach the mid to upper 70s. More scattered showers on Saturday with highs only reaching the low 60s. For the North Carolina News Network, I'm meteorologist Grant Skinner in the Weather Center.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Hey, Cumberland County. Looking for a job with purpose? Cumberland County government is hiring. We offer great career opportunities where you can serve your community and grow your future. Explore openings and apply today at cumberlandcountync.gov/jobs. Need help? The county's recruitment team is here to guide you every step of the way. Visit cumberlandcountync.gov/jobs to apply to join the Cumberland County team.
Sheriff Jonathan Morgan has served this community as a firefighter and deputy sheriff since 1996. For nearly 3 decades, he has answered the call, protecting families, standing in the gap, and serving with honor. Sheriff Morgan has worked his way through the ranks to become sheriff of Cumberland County, earning the trust of the men and women he leads and the community he serves. Now Sheriff Morgan is running to continue to be your sheriff because he wants people to feel safe in their homes, safe in their neighborhoods, and safe in our county. Sheriff Morgan believes in our county, and together we make it safer. When you vote for Sheriff Morgan, you're choosing experience, you're choosing commitment, you're choosing to believe in our county too. So let's vote for Sheriff Morgan. Early voting begins Thursday, February 12th through February 28th, 2026. Election day is Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026.
This is Sheriff Jonathan Morgan, and I approve this message, paid for by the Jonathan Morgan for Sheriff Committee.
This is Pastor Reginald Johnston of My Father's House Christian Church. You're listening to Wake Up.
This is Pastor Neil of the New Covenant Christian Faith Church Ministries, 5427 Murkison Road, and I am proud to be a member of Wake Up.
And we are back with Marshall Pitts,
Module Pitts,
and Myron Pitts,
and we are
MP3.
Welcome back, everybody, to Marshall, Module, and Myron, your trio of talk radio. If you were just joining us, we were in a discussion talking about cell phone use with our children, with the young people, and how the schools across the country have now started putting in prohibitions against using cell phones during the school day.
And during the break, I was kind of surprised to hear that both of y'all said that they should do that.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, because what happens, and the school system they use here is based in Louisville, Kentucky. They have what Marshall was referring to earlier, a bell-to-bell ban. So come in the morning and give up your cell phones, get it when you leave. Now, what the principal there has said, since they've had this policy, they've seen some positive effects. She says, for one, you know if the kids are actually paying attention. When they had their cell phones in class, their heads are down looking at the phone. Right. And, you know, a lot of adults are the same way, so we shouldn't be surprised to hear that.
Wait, Deuce, before you get into the positives, there's some, you know, circumventing. We're talking about young people circumventing.
Yeah, sure.
They are, to get around this policy at a lot of the schools, kids are bringing dummy phones, you know, putting the
dummy phone in the pouch,
and keep their real phone, right? Yeah.
Or they're giving up the real phone, but they have another phone.
Yeah,
they said tons of kids have more than one phone that they're bringing, you know, that they can rely on. So, and then some of them schools have this pouch policy where
that's right.
When you come in, you got to put it in this secure pouch with got a code or whatever on it.
Yeah,
and then some kids are saying, well, I've left my pouch at home, or the pouch is getting torn and cut through. Just all kinds of workarounds so they can get access to these phones when they're not supposed to.
And we didn't talk about this, but phones are important to people. They are important, not just to kids. They're vitally important. They're vitally important to people. And whether they're doing business or just surfing the web or whatnot. I mean, phones are vitally important. You ever seen a person who forgets their phone at home or something like that?
Widespread panic. Widespread panic.
Yeah, and they're, you know, and that's how people, and they are too expensive. Many of them. I agree with that, but if you're gonna pay a lot of money, a phone is actually something that's worth that, because so much of your life is on the phone. Your address book, obviously the phone itself. You got the internet, your work life, your personal life. It's all on the phone. So they have become really essential devices, and it's to the point where I think a strong case can be made that if someone does not have a phone or cannot afford a phone, that one should be provided for. Now, luckily,
like an Obama phone,
right. And you even, you know, I've interviewed a number of times unhoused people. Yeah, Marsh has to dip out early. Going to a wedding?
Yep. Okay.
All right. Have fun. Drive safely.
Be careful, buddy.
But I have interviewed unhoused folks, and they got a lot of them have phones. I would even say most have some kind of phone. Or some kind of plan, and they need it as much as anyone, more than a lot of people, because that's a lot of time their only lifeline to, to get essential services and so forth. So they have become essential, but academic setting where kids really need to concentrate, they just don't need to be looking at this major distraction.
And they are not essential in the way that you talked about for kids.
No.
Yeah, so in the way that you talked about for business, for those type of things, you having to do certain things on your phone that you can't do anywhere else.
Correct.
You accessing financial transactions and all that kind of stuff for a child, for a kid, and so. But I was curious as to one of them statements that were made in the story. The kid said, he said he didn't like it because he said we're not kids. You know, they're not treating us like adults, and so I'm saying to myself, now kids feel differently about it. They feel that especially in high school, they feel that they are adults.
It's all about the setting, though. If we had talked about, during the break, we talked about getting J. Cole tickets and concert tickets and comedy show tickets. We talked about the price, how, the price can be high. But another aspect, if you'll recall, and this may have, I don't know if this happened, you saw a comedian speak a while back, but a couple of shows I've been to, they actually collect your phone before the show.
This was one of those.
Yeah, and so
So when I knew that,
and that's because of the setting. They don't want people taking pictures, unauthorized pictures. They give you a pouch, just like these kids would get.
And they didn't want you recording it.
They didn't want you recording anything.
So they wanted, when they go to each stop, they wanted it to be fresh. So what I did when I knew this, when I heard this, when we saw this, I left my phone in the car.
Right.
So I wasn't worried about that.
Then you got to wait to get your phone. It's a pretty smooth process, but it's actually, as an adult, just a little bit jarring to give up your phone. But
that's why I didn't want to.
Right.
That's the reason why I left it in the car. Because I'm saying to myself, when I put it in this pouch, where is it going to go? Who's going to have it at that point? Who's watching over the phone?
Right. We didn't even talk about a security aspect. So as I was started to mention, so the principal of this school, said that they've seen positive changes in terms of teachers can tell that children are listening. They said even in the lunchroom, they hear more chatter now. The lunchroom, usually, I guess teachers want less chatter, but in the lunchroom, they hear more people talking because students are interacting with each other. I mean, human interaction beats any other face-to-face interaction, beats any other kind of interaction, if it's possible.
And you and I know, Myron, when you don't have your phone and you're around people, you don't have any choice but to talk to them.
That's right.
If you're in a cafeteria full of kids and the kids are sitting around each other and there's no phone,
you're often facing each other.
You don't have any choice but to talk. Right. Because one thing we do know, kids are not, they're not going to sit there and be silent the whole time. They're going to talk.
Too much energy, too much going on in their heads.
And it's the same thing while they're sitting in a classroom. They're going to be forced to interact with what's going on in class because they don't have that phone to be staring down at and those type of things and checking messages and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's interesting because as we get prepared to move to the next topic, this principal, Miss Smith, this school in Louisville, Kentucky, she says that even though the initial results, are still early, are positive and encouraging, the story, which is by National Public Radio, NPR, says she's under no illusion about what the students really think. Quote, I think they absolutely hate it. They still hate the policy.
And I would expect they
Their
would.
phone is their lives. It's their world. And so that would, of course, lead to the workarounds and sort of sneaky things that kids are doing that Marsha was talking about earlier.
But even though kids have these workarounds and they try to sneak the phone in, they know that it is now established that you can't have a phone in the classroom.
That's right.
So even if they do find a way to get around getting their phone, they're not going to have it out in class because they know they're not supposed to have it out in class.
Correct.
The good thing about this policy too was they're not kicking kids out of school for having phones.
Yeah.
They're warning them, they're talking to them about it and telling them what the policy is and giving them chances and stuff like that. I don't want to see kids being suspended for having a phone at school. I don't want it to go that far.
Yeah.
But I mean, you do have to have some type of enforcement, but it doesn't have to be that.
And establishing the rules is very key. It's very key. And and it's consistent for everybody.
So now my only question is, if you're going to have a school, I guess maybe, and this will probably answer my own question though, but if you're going to have a school where you can't have phones, why don't you just keep the phones at home? But I guess they need it after school.
Yeah, they're going after school. And then, we also live in a time, sadly, and we've been in this era about 30 years now, of incidents at school like shootings and so forth. And a lot of parents really want their kids to have a phone in case something happens like that, so they can have immediate contact and know what's going on. There's different schools of thought whether or not that really makes a difference, but I can certainly understand a parent wanting their kid to have a phone
if you hear
in
about
case of emergency.
Yeah, if you hear about a shooting at a school, and you pick up the phone as a parent, you and Marsha pick up the phone as a parent and call your child, and they have a phone on them, and they pick up, then you know that your child, son or daughter, is safe. So it would probably be maddening to not be able to reach your son or daughter. You're watching the news,
very frightening.
Or you're on the outskirts of the school or whatever. Because a lot of parents are going to rush to the school, of course. And you're on the outskirts of the school. And so you can't get in to see if your son or daughter is safe. So there's always that emergency element to it.
Correct. So we talking about this Black History Month, of course. Happy Black History Month for everybody out there.
We got a missing Jesse too.
Yeah. Reverend Jesse Jackson, civil rights legend, passed earlier this week. 84 years old. He had Parkinson's, had suffered for that for a while, and I think he had been in the hospital since November. But certainly a legend. A lot of people look at, mind you, that we've seen that iconic photo of when the tragic day that Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated in the hotel until Lorraine Hotel. Jesse was right beside him. And there were several people there on that balcony. And so Jesse Jackson is actually, I read somewhere, was the last person on that balcony that was still alive. So it's the end of an era, but his legacy lives on. And one thing that I've seen a lot of write-ups about Reverend Jesse Jackson, which is certainly appropriate. Not as many mention his. We were just talking about voting earlier. How many people he got registered to vote? Because he ran for president a couple times, and probably there's no other campaign where a third party, or he wasn't third party, he ran as a Democrat, but as a
he ran twice. Too.
He ran twice as he was seen as kind of an outsider candidate, as a long shot candidate, but did much better than people thought. And it's those things like that. And the people he got registered to vote, which was a lot of us, a lot of African Americans, that paved the way for eventually President Barack Obama to win.
And that photo that he had with Martin Luther King on that balcony was a two-edged sword for him, because a lot of people remember that, and then they say, well, he was a Project King, but what has he done since then? He's done a lot. He was only 20-something when that happened.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't understand that.
He was very young. He was a lot younger than King.
Yeah.
At the time.
Right.
King died in his late 30s. I think.
Right.
And so he was a lot younger than King. He was 20-something at the time.
Yeah.
So, and he's done so much more. The voter registration,
right.
two
of course, the Rainbow Push Coalition,
on and on and on.
Yeah.
When it comes to, not to mention negotiate peace talks from around hostage releases.
That's right.
So we he's done so much more.
It is an amazing legacy.
Incredible legacy.
There's lots of shoulders that we stand on from that era. All the MPs, if we look at our lives, it would have had a very different course if the at least the legal part of segregation had not been damaged. I say it's still not completely gone, but that's another whole subject. But the formal legal part of segregation would have denied us a lot of the very opportunities that we went to, that we experienced, including our choice of college. The college I went to, UNC, didn't integrate until like the 70s with some law students. So you're talking about if the Kings of the world, the Jesse Jacksons of the world, and all the thousands of people, the tens of thousands of people of different races, black and white, and the church community, the same community that WIDU is built around. We're very involved in that. So we stand on shoulders like folks like Reverend Jesse Jackson, and all credit to him, and may he rest in power.
Rest in power.
So Philadelphia has an exhibit, and Philadelphia, of course, is very much tied into the founding of this country. And I'm watching Ken Burns's excellent documentary about the revolutions. I think it's called The American Revolution. I'm on the fourth part of the series now.
It's too long.
There's a lot more to that revolution. There's so much more to that revolution than what we're talking.
That's on PBS, right?
It's on PBS.
I was going to sit down and watch some of that stuff, but it's got so many parts to it.
So many. That's what I like.
You got to devote some time to that.
It's got layers. It's got, a more detailed story of how the Native Americans were involved, a more detailed story about how the French was involved, how African Americans were involved. It wasn't just the sort of, the sanitized version that we've seen. So I would strongly recommend that. But one thing that I learned from that is, or that reminds me of, is that nothing came easy in terms of progress for African Americans, progress for this country. It's been a struggle the whole time. And Philadelphia was really one of the early important cities. The British thought if they could take Philly, they knock us out, right? And it didn't happen. Right. But it almost happened. But in any case, so Philly has this exhibit about George Washington. So, he's a revered figure there as elsewhere, first president. And part of that was these panels that had 9 people on it who were enslaved. George Washington was a huge slave owner, one of the biggest of the time. He also would be, if you transport him to the current time, his money at the time, he'd be a billionaire. So he's also been per capita, one of our richest presidents. And part of that wealth was the live chattel enslaved African Americans that he owned. So that's part of his story. George Washington was a great revolutionary leader, and appropriate, I would say, for a first president, because he was a reluctant public servant. And that's kind of what you want sometimes. You don't want someone that's so, I want to get this power and I want to hang on to it. I won't mention any names, but when he served his time as president, he went back to his farm in Virginia. So he's that kind of guy. But slavery was a part of his legacy.
Correct, as it was a lot of the founders.
A lot of the founders, I think of the first 14, I want to say all but 2 owned slaves. First 13 maybe. So and that's a function of a lot of them being from Virginia. Jefferson, Madison, Washington. It was a slaveholding state. In any case, so the Trump administration, you know, I guess is part of their DEI, anti-DEI thing. They told Philly, you got to take those panels down, and went and removed them.
And Philly had to go to court to have them placed back.
Have them placed back, and
you're meddling around in Philly,
right?
With all this world stuff going on around you, and you're meddling around in Philly at a museum, trying to take something down that's the truth. That's the truth. Right. That shows the history, part of the history of America.
Yeah,
and so when you have something like that, there are no corners of the world of the United States that this president is not trying to reach into.
Right.
Because before we had this story, and before this has made the national news, I didn't even know about those things in Philly.
Me neither.
See, you know what I'm saying? So to me, he kind of brought more attention to it, rather than less attention to it, which I think was what he was trying to do.
Yeah. So a judge said, you can't do that. So they had a Friday deadline, which I believe is today.
Yeah.
So they put the images back up, put the panels back up earlier this week. And the reason the federal government, I guess, felt it had standing is because it is a National Park Service exhibit. But again, it's why is the president reaching into things like this?
And that's what the court was saying.
Right.
What is the purpose of removing them in the first place? And then they gave some kind of muddled reason as to why they were doing it. And the court just didn't buy it and said, look, let's just put them back.
And what's frustrating, and I know we got to go, but oftentimes when you see a regime that's doing actions that they shouldn't be doing, they will tell you what they did is the opposite. So this whole anti-DEI whitewashing American history, the Trump administration calls it, quote, restoring truth and sanity to American history, which of course is the opposite. They're taking out truth. They're
putting in lies and
putting in lies, right? So I'm glad the judge stepped in, and judges, the courts are really being tested like every institution in America during this era. I'm glad they stepped in, but it's just striking to me that if you're a person who lives in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, you as a taxpayer, you're getting hit on both sides, because Philly had the sue, and then the U.S. government is on the other side of the case, and you're a taxpayer to them too.
Right.
And so it's just a lose-lose situation. But congratulations on Philly for preserving the truth in this case.
We got to go, bud.
We got to go, I guess. Yeah.
This is Marshall Pitts.
This show sped by. Myron Pitts.
Marshall Pitts, who had to leave a little bit early, and we are
MP3. Have a Black History Month.